3, 2, 1, bro.
What's up, everybody? My name is Michael Lee Murphy, and we are here with another board game highlight, a weekly series where we take something down from the shelf, bust it open, and talk about the things that we really enjoy about it and why it's part of our game collection. So this week I have a game that is just beautiful. It's got brilliant bright colors. And it is basically a ripoff of the theme of Moana, but why not? You think that that means I hate the game? That means I love the game because Moana is dope, all right? The sea calls to me just like it calls to Moana. I'm talking about Blue Lagoon this week by Blue Orange Games. Now this is an awesome game by Reiner Knizia that's sort of just an abstract little set collection game, but it has a really beautiful theme that is pasted on. But if you're going to paste it on, I always say might as well paste with some bright, beautiful colors. And that's what they've done here with Blue Lagoon. Now let's go ahead and get down to the table so I can show you just a little bit of how this simple game plays and why I think you might want to give it a try. The light of the sea, it calls me. I'm pretty sure to get sued I actually have to know the lyrics better. Well, one knows. So this game is Blue Lagoon, and again, it's sort of an abstract game where you're going to be putting out these different tiles in some villages and hoping to collect the various resources that are here around the islands. And it's played over two kind of distinct different rounds. In the first round, we're Polynesian explorers, right? We're the descended from Voyager people that Moana talks about. And we're basically going to be coming in from the oceans to discover these islands right here. And we do that by putting out these tokens. Now, these are double-sided tokens. Effectively, it doesn't matter which side you use, but one side shows boats if you're on the water, and the other side shows land if you're on the land. So in the first round, we can basically start from the water anywhere on the board. I could be like, this is a good place to begin, or over there is cool. It doesn't really matter. We're just discovering the islands. The only rule is you have to start on the water.
H2O.
From there, I can then choose to go on land so long as I'm connected to one of my boats, one of my landing sites. And if I go into a space that has one of the resources, I simply collect the resource and then we move on. The different types of resources on the island are pretty cool. We've got like little sour pumpkins. We've got organic straws. We have Rosie Jetson, the like robot maid. We've got Dragon Ball Z's right here. And then these are special sacred items on the island. These are little Ted Dansons. The game moves pretty quick because all you're going to do is put down a token, then your opponent's going to put down a token. Then I'm going to put down a token, then your opponent puts down a token, and it moves on and on and on, which is something that I actually really like, that it doesn't take much time. Even if you're playing 4 players, you just go around and around and around the table putting these tokens out. The cool thing is if I start over here and I decide, oh, I want to get some stuff down here on this island, since we're in that explorer phase, I can just pop a boat over there or now right over there in subsequent turns and then explore the land. When you're going on land, you have to move kind of linearly throughout because you're essentially walking across an island. And that's how land works. But when you're on boats in this first round, you can kind of pop anywhere or move in a linear fashion as well. And again, you're just going back and forth trying to collect those resources. So is there a rhyme or reason to it all? Indeed, there is. There's a couple things you can do in that first round. You can go around the different islands, collect resources. You can also put out these little village huts, which are going to be essential for round 2. These little villages are going to be your starting points, essentially, for the second round. So in addition to just trying to get those different resources, you want to get those villages out, and you also want to try to make sure that you touch as many islands as you can and try to get a lot of presence on each island. So if I was doing my thing and just pretending I was running around collecting Dragon Ball Z's, so I'm going over here and I'm flipping these things out. And again, there's double-sided tokens, but it's really random. I can imagine Reiner Knizia was just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna use some euros and they're double-sided and you can put them down and we're gonna have like blue cubes and red cubes and I don't know, green cubes could be cool. And then Blue Orange said like, hey, yeah, we're gonna paint this we're gonna make it a little bit different. He's just like, why does it matter? I'm Knizia, I'm just a mechanics guy. I just you make things that happen. It's a fun game. You don't need to have a theme. Because Reiner Knizia doesn't design with theme, just thinks of mechanics. He's a mechanical man. Okay, so let's just pretend that this is sort of the end of the round. The round's gonna end when either all of the resources are collected from the islands or if every player has played all of their tokens. I usually find that you run out of tokens before you collect every type of resource, but maybe in a 4-player game, it's gonna be a little more, the resources dwindle heavy. When you get to the end of the round, you're gonna go to scoring. Now this game is awesome because it makes you feel like you're super good at the game just because there's like sort of a lot of points to grab. Like you're always gonna have scores in the hundreds, it's just a thing. So you're just like, I'm super good at exploring little tiny islands, guys. Like, I think that might be my calling. But the game is just sort of designed that way, which I actually kind of like, makes you feel good about yourself, and I don't mind that. So when you get to the end of a round, you're gonna check to basically see how many islands did you manage to get to. If you can manage to get to 7 of the 8 islands, you'll get 10 points. If you get to all 8 islands, you get a bonus 20 points. It's generally pretty easy to get around and to get those islands touched on at least one space worth. You know, so it's just like a nice little, hey, good on you, you spread around. Another thing that you're gonna get to do is you're gonna look at your longest kind of continuous unbroken chain of exploration, and whatever one is the longest, you'll get 5 points for every island that it touches. So in this case, if I managed to go here, let's pretend this was on the island, and I went that's 2 islands. I come up here, that's 3 islands. I jump down here, 3, that's 4 and 5 islands, 6, 7, 8. I got to, or 7 of the islands rather. I'd get 35 bonus points for that, for making kind of one big continuous chain. But it is possible that maybe Nick, in the middle of my trying to explore, came over here, pop, 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 and blocked me, and that would break my chain, and I wouldn't be able to go through there. I'd have to go around. So that's a kind of an area where you can kind of mess with each other. So you're gonna get points for getting those islands, for having that continuous chain and how many islands you touch. And then with the resource, it's kind of set collection. For the 4 kind of basic types of resources, if you get 2 of that type of resource, you get 5 points, 3 of that type, you'll get 10, and 4 or more, you will get 20 points. And then the Ted Dansons are special because Ted Danson is special. These are always gonna be worth 4 points no matter what. You can get an unlimited amount of these, and there's no sort of like, hey, if you only get 1 organic straw, you get nothing. These are always gonna be worth some points. They're kind of safe, but maybe the ceiling is a little bit lower than with some of the other types of resources. So after the first round, what you're gonna do is you're pretty much gonna wipe the board and reset it, with the exception of your villages. Now I talked about that a little bit in the first round. You're gonna be wanting to put those villages out strategically. Any villages that you don't put out during the first round will go back to the box and be gone. And then we take off all of our tokens to set up for the second round. So now that we've reset the round, we go into round 2. Now round 2 is where this game takes off for me. The first time I played Blue Lagoon in the first round, it's kind of like, okay, I'm just like putting these things out, and it's just like, I don't know, you can just kind of bop around anywhere. It seems random, I don't get it. And then we reset for round 2, and then everything kind of clicked into place. So in round 1, you're those explorers coming in to discover these lands for the very first time. So you come in from those boats, you can kind of pop around anywhere. You're just so active and stuff. You can just zip around any old place you want until you make land, and then you have to kind of slow down and walk. But in round 2, thematically, we have settled these islands, and now we are exploring them from the villages we have built. So in round 1, if we're on the water, we can pop around any old place we want, but now no matter what, whether we're on the water or on land, we have to move linearly adjacent from either a previously played token or another village place that has already been placed out in round 1. We're like domestic now. We're just kicking back like, oh man, I ate so much cheese last night. Don't rush me, guys, okay? I got the bloat. What you realize in round 1 is that it can become very important where you place your villages, because the scoring is the same in round 2 as it is in round 1. You still want to get to every island if you can. You still want to build a big continuous chain of exploration if you can. You still want to get to those different types of resources and get as much Ted Danson in your life as humanly possible. But now you have to kind of think of linear movement and then trying to use your villages strategically to kind of push out from many areas at once to hopefully connect one big network. So I would maybe start right there or right here to collect something right away. But then on my next turn, maybe I want to make sure I get this area started, so I'll go up there. And then if I want to go in the water, that's cool, but no longer can I come all the way down here. I'd have to go down the river at a nice slow pace, beautifully singing songs, and you can still block and trap people, and maybe it's a little bit easier because it's going to take longer for people to connect things. So it really becomes about trying to stop your opponents from building these humongous long chains of exploration. So that's what I really love about the game, is the first round is just kind of like getting your pawns ready for the second round. The second round is where it all pops off. When you get done, you do the same exact round of scoring, again, checking those islands, those chains, and that set collection, and then the game is over. So this game is something that at first glance, I was like, okay, well, all right, it seems okay. And then we got into that second round, and I was like, oh, ooh, that's interesting. So then when I went back and played Blue Lagoon again, that first round became much more interesting because I understood how it can affect the later part of the game. There's a lot to think about in this very beautiful, basically abstract game. So I'm curious, if you played Blue Lagoon, do you enjoy it? What are your thoughts on it? I think it's beautiful, it's vibrant. I like, it's just well produced. Like, all these components could just be different colored cubes, but they have different shapes and everything, which makes it a little friendlier for any colorblind folk out there. I like that they took the time to make these double-sided tokens. Like, it doesn't matter really. Like, it's just for flavor, but you have the boats on the one side and you have the settlers on the other, and there's a couple different arts for the settlers. So it just makes it kind of nice and pleasing when you play. It's something that is very easy to understand. It's a really short rule book, but if you kind of think about it, you can really start to get strategic and maybe a little bit cutthroat with the way you can kind of cut people off as they try to explore. Or if you're playing with people who are maybe newer to games, it's something that's just beautiful and bright that you can just kind of play really easily because there's not many rules to keep track of. Just get the things and count them up, get your points. And because you get to score such high scores, new gamers are going to feel like super good about themselves, I think, which is, I think, a nice bonus to games. You know, if it can make you feel good, that's good, right? That's why we play them. So anyway, those are just some of my thoughts on Blue Lagoon. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this game. If you have any suggestions for games you want to see us do highlights of, let us know in the comments below. If you're new to us, I'm Mike of the Brothers Murph. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Brothers Murph, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers! By the way, if you're really frustrated that I'm calling them Dragon Ball Z's instead of Goku's, go ahead and give this video a thumb up. Instead of just being like, that's not even his name. Just show me your disdain with those thumbs ups and those subscriptions, folks. That's the way you can let us know that you really don't like us. Thanks.